We have a couple of people that want to do a little speech in honor of their uncle. Jon and then Jeremy. So Jon, you're going to come.
We'll come. We'll stand together for moral support.
Okay. My nephew.
I was Don's first nephew, and just for context for this poem. So Don was part of my very earliest memories. He lived with my grandmother when I was first born, and I stayed there a lot, every other weekend maybe. And so he was always there, and he liked to play with us and mess around, and he taught us a lot of stuff. Where is Don?
He's right there.
All right, Uncle Don. So, all right. In an old house on Elmhurst, in a room that was red, the cool young uncle rose up from his bed. He farted 3 times with a noise that resounded. Then into the bathroom this cool uncle bounded. With face and hands covered in thick shaving cream, he stepped into the hall and started to scream, "Here comes the creature from the White Lagoon!" Then he chased his small nephews from room to room. He caught every one, run as fast as they might, tossed them down to the carpet, and put out their lights. After lunch, we would head down the basement stairs for hockey with Uncle Guy Labert. Or we'd dance around for all we were worth as we journeyed to the center of the earth. And at night, we would go and cheer with fervor at the Coliseum for Dean the Hulk Turner. Then after the bedtime of the Cohen gents, we'd drift off to Bugsy rising up through the vents. Or on nights when the band had been cut loose, to the sound of Don chewing his cranberry juice. Yes, my brothers and I were lucky that way to have an uncle who loved to play and who was there for so many big occasions, whether ball games, concerts, or graduations. So today, Uncle Don, I'm here for you, as a way to say thanks for all you do. Now I'd better hurry and get some cake before it gets eaten by Sammy Snake.
I'm Jeremy, the second nephew and Don's godson. I'm not as technically savvy as my older brother, so I have a piece of paper on it. Let me start by saying there's not many for whom I would miss the Michigan versus Ohio State game. They're up 14-10 at the half. But there's also not many people like Uncle Don. As Jon said, you kind of didn't have kids till late, well, I don't want to say later in life, but till I was already in law school, and so he treated us like his own kids. Jon mentioned he lived at home for a very long time. In fact, till he got married. So whenever we went to visit Grandma Muriel, Uncle Don was there, and so some of my earliest memories of Uncle Don, as Jon said, when he woke up promptly at 1 p.m. and he would sort of trundle down the hall, not in tidy whities, because they weren't white, but in, I guess, tidy maroonies. He thought he was Jim Palmer back in those days. As Jon said, he would get into the kitchen where Grandma Muriel would be making him bacon and his cranberry juice. In fact, all kind of the same color, the bacon, the cranberry juice, and his underwear, and now, in fact, his sweater that he's got. But it was always a very exciting time when Uncle Don emerged from his room, not because we got to see Uncle Don, but because while he was having his bacon and his cranberry juice, we could run into his bedroom where there was this big wooden chest. Oh. Yeah, right. So if you open that chest, it was filled to the top with Sports Illustrateds and Hockey Newses. And as a sports fan, I loved that. So I could look and see all the pictures and all the highlights. But if you dug a little bit deeper, beneath the Hockey Newses and the Sports Illustrateds, that's where the Playboys and the Penthouses are. So I learned a lot from digging under that. But you had to be careful, because if you dug too deep, there was another layer. There was a magazine, I don't remember for sure, I believe it was called Oui, but like French, O-U-I, but also with an exclamation point for emphasis. Yeah, and that magazine had stuff in it that I've never seen before. And then there was a secret fourth layer. And that's where, and I've never told you this before, that's where I found a picture of you. I won't describe it, but whatever you're picturing, it was worse. Don, you fostered our love, or certainly my love of hockey. I remember going to Graham's house and dressing up in your old pads. I remember February 22nd, 1980. It was John's 8th birthday, and I was down the hall playing, and I heard you calling my name, and you made sure that I came down the hall to see the last few seconds of the Miracle on Ice hockey game. Let's see, what else? I gotta put my glasses on to see what I remember. You taught us all the hockey positions: goalie, defense, forward, and of course the most important position, goon. We went to countless Nighthawk games together, always with bench clearing brawls, always with you honking your horn the entire way down the spiral. You took us to tons of Whaler games in Section 116, and we had all sorts of adventures. Gumby at Subway, meeting famous people like Richie Case and The Shape. One time I remember you picked me up in your blue Datsun to take me to a Whaler game, and afterwards Mom asked me if you had made your own cigarettes. I didn't know what that meant for a few years later. And also, why did she ask after I got home? You exposed me to many of the finer things in life, not Sandy's sake, but you gave me my first taste of Busch beer, not even Busch Light, but Busch beer. And perhaps not coincidentally, you were my lawyer a few years later when I got arrested for underage drinking. You continue to be a role model and an inspiration. October of 1996, we went out to Evanston for the Northwestern Michigan football game, and you and I were roommates at the hotel. I was 22, you were twice my age then, you were 44. And I remember thinking, you know, I'm young, I'm gonna go take on the city of Chicago where a bunch of my friends were. And so I went out of the town, left all of you, and I got back to the hotel and you weren't back yet. So I fell asleep, and a little while goes by and the door opens and I hear you come and I hear you flop into bed. And maybe 3 minutes go by and I hear you go into the bathroom and throw up everywhere. You're a role model as a family man. Those things. Always look forward to you stripping down to your V-neck undershirt to carve the Thanksgiving turkey. As a lawyer, Sarah knows.
Yeah, that's funny.
I became a lawyer as you are, and in fact I worked with Uncle Don for a year between college and law school. Helped him on his way to a successful argument in the Connecticut Supreme Court. Helped him defend someone who had beat the crap out of a coworker for stealing his tools, and also helped him solve the mystery of who shot Meatball Lugo, which actually turned out to be Carlos Diaz, a very nice guy when he wasn't shooting. In closing, just want to harness sort of a few themes about Uncle Don and 70 years. I think in that time, you have become an institution in New Haven and all around Connecticut. I see you're paying close attention as you whisper to Peg as I'm talking. You ready? Can I go on?
Please.
You've become an institution. You're also someone who was always willing to give us the shirt off your back, although in later years maybe the hair off your back. So John and I wanted to recognize and honor you by giving you some shirts of your own. Now, I had this whole plan where I was actually going to wear them and literally give you the shirts off my back, but that was too much. But so all of these are representative of local institutions, and all of these institutions you have outlasted in your 70 years.
You want me to come up for this?
Sure. They're extra large, they should fit. So, the first local institution that you have outlasted, from 1980 to 2011, Milford Amusement Center. From, I wrote this down earlier, 1977 to 2001, Milford High Life. Now here's where it really gets good. From 1972 to 2007, our beloved New Haven Coliseum. Yes, sir. And you can tell by the color, from 1972 to April 13th, 1997. The Whalers. The Hartford Whalers.
You get a photo.
Come on.
Smile.
Jersey Swamp.